Hey, travel friends, glad you're here. Don't forget to follow and like this channel. Here we go, a new adventure. Hey, y'all, it's your travel bestie Kat, and I have a lovely friend joining us today, and she's going to tell us who she is and what she does and what she loves for business and travel.
Yeah, hello, Kat's audience. I'm so excited to be talking to Kat because I kind of blend the best of business and travel all together, I guess. My name is Pam Leinmiller. I'm a professional speaker and workshop trainer. I work in communications, emotional intelligence, mainly for data-driven analytical leaders like myself, who was a recovering computer science and math major in college. But on the travel side, and probably the reason really why Kat is talking to me is I'm a bit of an adventurer. I love traveling. We'll jump into some of the things that I've done, but I travel for my work, obviously for speaking, and I try to plan an extra day in there. But the other adventure travel that I intentionally plan is really the fun part that I'm sure we'll jump into, Kat.
Yes. When traveling internationally, what communication mistakes do you think people make most often?
Yes, well, I think the communication mistakes with the person that, because traveling internationally, I've always had somebody arrange it for me
Mhm.
because I don't know how to do that. I don't know the areas. I don't know the connections in different countries. I've done a couple different countries and actually a few. I've been on all seven continents, actually. Uh,
Okay.
so we could talk about that. But I think lack of, you don't ask enough about the details and how little things like the connections between the airport and the hotel, what time tours start, what kind of travel you want to do. Do you want an agenda when you get there, or do you just want to be freelancing it and enjoy the area? Like your travel connector, the person who helps you arrange that needs to know those. And I think a lot of people don't communicate what they want to do once they get to whatever country it is.
That's true. Now, how did you check off all the continents?
Interesting. Well, early in my marriage, actually, when I was pregnant with my first child, my husband and I went to England, and that was really my first foray into Europe. And then let me think, it was more when I was an adult after traveling with my kids, went down to Mexico. So that was really that was a lot of fun. I worked in India and Denmark. I had some speaking engagements there with a company that's US based, but I had done work with them and they hired me to go there. So that was work travel. And I had to be in Denmark and also then in India. And originally it was going to be kind of back to back, but then there was a holiday over in India. Uh, Eid, it's called. And so they realized that. And all of a sudden, there was a week between travel. And the president of the company said, well, you can come back to the States or you can just stay. And I thought, I'd rather
I
stay.
was
And
like, that's a no-brainer.
yes, then I got to go to Copenhagen on my own, and then went on to India, New Delhi, and I did some touring, and I really love that. And then the latest thing was this past fall, my husband and I went on an Antarctic expedition, which I
Ooh.
highly recommend, and that was kind of checking off my seventh continent. Oh, 2019, we went to Africa. We climbed Kilimanjaro. So
Ooh.
that's another adventure travel thing. No work involved there. Well, no paid work involved there. A lot of physical work
Oh,
involved there
yeah.
on
I
the
was like,
Kilimanjaro
girl,
trip.
you was
Yeah.
that's no slacker's hike right there.
No.
How was Kilimanjaro?
Well, I'll tell you, Kat, it was really, I think, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, if I'm honest. But we had climbed several mountains here domestically in the United States before that. And we climbed the highest peak in Colorado as a training hike 6 weeks before Kilimanjaro. So we had gotten up to some pretty good levels and as far as altitude goes, but you can't duplicate really anywhere the 19,341 feet. I'm claiming every single one of those
Oh, yeah.
feet, making it to the top of Kilimanjaro. It was fabulous. I will say, words of wisdom. all of us, well, there were 8 of us that summited. We all somehow knew each other, and included in that 8 was my youngest daughter and her husband, which was really fun. The rest of us were over 50. And I said to her, I said, "Are you sure you're okay with all of us that are climbing?" She's like, "Oh, trust me, I'm great." I think she just didn't want to be that girl that held everybody up, and she certainly wasn't. We had a blast with that, but we took the longest route you can take. It's called the Northern Circuit route. And as a result, we saw some beautiful scenery. We went through 5 climate zones on our way up. So just experiencing that. And we gave our bodies enough time to acclimate to the altitude, which is
Right.
the key. You can go, it was 7, we summited on the 7th night. You can
Yeah.
do it in 4 days, 5 days, but we saw 5 people taken off the mountain in the time that we were
I was
summiting.
going to ask that. How dangerous is this climb?
Yeah, I think the biggest danger, because a lot of the trails are pretty well established,
Hmm.
and the guides know you have to have a guide. The guides take you on the safe places to go. They know where to go. So we hired a local guide. I think the danger is in overestimating your body's ability to handle the altitude and just really submit to that. I mean, I'm an achiever, I'm a goal setter, I'm a taskmaster. And for part of it, like days 3 and 4 in the middle there, I was kind of like, I don't feel like I'm accomplishing much. But my body was getting used to that altitude and operating at that level. So we didn't need oxygen. We didn't have any physical issues. We actually enjoyed summiting. I mean, it was physically exhausting because
Sure.
you do it overnight, but it was great. And I would give yourself some time. Don't try to do it in 4 days.
And altitude sickness is a thing. Like
Yes.
people have to take that seriously.
You have to
Yeah.
go back down. But we saw a lady with a guy with a broken ankle. Another lady had
Oh,
hurt her knee. Like people go beyond their physical limits, and so you just really have to listen. But the altitude sickness, I would say, is the biggest issue, and you can't go further. You have to go back down. So that's really sad because people prepare a lot
oh,
for
and
that.
this is not, it's not cheap to
It's
plan that
not
sort of
cheap.
an adventure, that
That's
sort
right.
of getaway. And then you've built it up too. You've been practicing, like you said.
Yeah.
Did you guys climb Pikes Peak
We
in
did we
Colorado?
did Mount Elbert. Mount Elbert's the highest
Is it?
peak in Colorado, probably by just a few feet. You know how the all the
Yeah.
14ers are, but Mount Elbert was the highest one, and so that's the one we did.
That's so cool.
It
Now,
was
how
great.
many days did it take you to do that? Or did you do it in one day?
We did that in one day, Mount
Okay.
Elbert. Yeah, we did that in one day. Funny story, Kat, because there's 2 entrances to Mount Elbert, and we went to the wrong entrance first, not the one that we
That's what I
intended.
would do.
And so we were about an hour late getting started, which is usually not a problem, except for it was in the summer and the afternoon storms are a real thing. And so we climbed Mount Albert and summited, and on our way back down, like the last hour, we were caught in the biggest rainstorm ever. We were soaking wet by the time we
Oh,
finished because we timed it wrong. We didn't start early enough, but we don't live there and we had to do it that day. It's not like we could say, oh, we'll do it tomorrow. And so we just got wet, enjoyed it, and went and had pizza after we got back down to the
good.
bottom.
You earned that pizza
We
for
earned
sure.
it. We did.
Now,
I
is
didn't
there
worry
better
about it
times
at
of the
all.
year to plan that adventure, to go hiking the big mountain and do the 7 days? Is there times of the year that are better than others,
Yeah,
weather-wise?
they have a rainy season
Mhm.
that you can check out, and I think it kicks in the fall, our fall.
Mhm.
I would check that out and avoid the rainy
Yeah,
season.
I would say that would be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Rain, you'd slip
Yeah,
or fall or hurt
it,
yourself. Yeah.
it would, because the insight that I have into Kilimanjaro that I did not anticipate, there's not a lot written about it. I probably should write a little journal, some summary in my journal, but there is so much dust. It's a volcano, it's a dormant volcano, so much volcano dust. It was everywhere. I couldn't wash it off. They gave us soap and water at the edge of our tent. The guides had it all set up when we came in from hiking each day.
Mhm.
Even with that, like you still felt like you had
You were a
just
sooty mess, I bet. Yeah.
dust
And
all over.
I say that
And
with love because I just did a cruise where we went through Guatemala, and I hiked a volcano. My friends that were traveling with me didn't want to do it. But there's 37 volcanoes, fun fact, in Guatemala that are
Oh,
active. I've only hiked one, so I have to go back because I
okay.
got 36 more to do.
Okay.
But like you said, you're a disaster. Like I was laughing with another
Yeah.
couple I had met them on another excursion. And so I had gone with them. They were from Wales. And we were walking down the one side, and there was an easier side. Other people were going on. And we looked at each other, and I was like, we are disgusting. Like, what? Like,
It's
I don't
true.
have a balcony. I got a solo cabin with a window. Where am I going to shake my shoes out? Like, my poor room steward.
Oh my
I
God.
think there's like half the volcanoes in my tennis shoes. Like,
Kat, it was, but no, there's not a challenge at all. That was the best shower I've ever had after climbing Kilimanjaro.
when you got back
No
to
doubt about it.
civilization, you're like,
No doubt
yes.
about it.
I bet that was like an hour long shower.
Oh
Like,
my gosh, it was so wonderful. And I just, yes, every inch of me was covered in dust, but it was really great.
but what great memories.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
with your daughter too. I think that's
And
awesome.
her husband, yeah,
Yay.
it was
Now,
fun.
you've spoken and trained leaders from around the world. What leadership
Mhm.
lessons have you learned from travel that you couldn't have learned in a classroom?
Wow. So many, Kat, because I find that dealing with different cultures, there are some universal truths about connecting with other people that, unless you experience the international connection, you don't really realize. Maybe we take some things for granted. But one of the things, and Kilimanjaro is a great example because a lot of the porters that we had carrying our stuff, because we just carried our day's worth of equipment. They had our duffel bag with the week's worth of, or
Oh,
we were out there 9 days. So they would take that and our tents and food, from place to place for each camp and they set that up for us. I think there was a universal language, at least from us, because they recognized how kind we were and considerate we were. Like we paid attention to them, and I think the ability to value somebody for their role. I mean, one of the porter's jobs, like the lowest one on the totem pole, is cleaning out the little porta potty. Okay. Oh, pro tip here: if you're ever if you're ever it was worth the $40 for the 9 days to have two porta potties instead of having to use whatever they had set up at the camp, because that wasn't much. It was usually a some wood. It was kind of like an outhouse and then with a hole in the ground kind of idea. And so much better to have a little mini tent porta potty where you could actually zip the door closed, because it was windy up there and it was cold. And so to be able to be a little bit insulated while you go to the bathroom, totally underestimated the value of that. Okay, but even the porter
everyone
that
needs to purchase that.
I know, yes, that's my pro tip. Spend the extra money on the porta potty.
If you don't have, you shouldn't go if you can't afford that $40. Like,
Oh my gosh. And I have another pro tip along the bathroom lines, but I'm going to save that for after the communication question, which has to do with, I think, just valuing each person for what they're bringing to the table. And the guides, the head guide who spoke English the best, he said, our team has just never experienced a group like you, where you
oh,
appreciated us. Like Mark and I, each couple or two people in a tent had a guy that was assigned to carry their tent, set it up, and then put the duffels in and have that all set. We had the same guy every night. He was our guy. We just thanked him. We gave him an extra tip. We took a picture with him. Like we appreciated the work he was doing.
oh,
And I
wow.
think that some people that are being served, especially internationally, might kind of demean the people that are serving them. And there's so much more to be gained by being kind and valuing the other person. I think that would be
Absolutely.
my word of wisdom.
Yeah, and I had a question that was like, how do you build trust quickly when you're working with people with different backgrounds and cultures? And I think
Yeah.
that was part of what you just said. Like,
Yeah.
respect them, show them the same kindness you would your family, your friends. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a respect thing, because think about it. We were dealing with really kind of third world country situations. That Moshi there, the town that the porters all come out of, it's a very, very poor town. And we did walk around that, and we had to have people walking with us because there's a lot of crime that happens there. So they were protecting us, but sometimes we take for granted, and we think them lesser. It's just they're in a whole different dynamic than we are, especially here in the United States and some other better developed countries. And I do think valuing the person is the key with making a connection with them. That respect piece is really important. Can I give my other potty tip for women?
Heck yeah.
The other potty tip for women, if you think about it, ladies, is when you're on a volcanic climb, a mountain, I mean, you're above the tree line where there's, no trees, no greenery. The last few days, honestly, we were above the tree line because things don't grow at certain altitudes. And there's honestly nowhere to really hide to go to the bathroom. For us ladies, the men can kind of, stand next to a rock and pee behind the rock. So there are products out there, and I had one called Freshette, but it is like a funnel for us ladies. It has like a little funnel that you put over your private area with a tube that comes out that you can direct in any direction you want to. And it allows you to pee like a man you can stand behind a rock and use this Freshette. And first of all, when it's freezing, which it is for several days up there, you aren't exposing all of yourself to just squat and go to the bathroom. It was
easier.
Wonderful. So that's another pro tip, all having to do with the potty, but it's a real thing.
You should definitely write a little book about climbing this.
Maybe I should.
I think so. I think
I
you would have lots of tips to share.
That's possible.
Right?
Yeah.
What's another destination that challenged your mindset and helped you grow personally?
Well, I have two. Is that okay? I don't know what other questions you might have, but the first one was India, honestly, because I'd never been there before. I was in Delhi, New Delhi, and I was staying at a very nice hotel, the Marriott, but all around there, there's so many people, lots of people walking, lots of people on kind of human. They're like little carts almost, not real cars on the road. I mean, they're motorized, but they're not a full car. They're like a cart. And then lots of motorcycles and just traffic signals that are a suggestion, honestly. Nobody really saw those. And so I luckily was in the back seat of the cab on the way from the airport. And I thought, I'm really glad I'm in the back seat and I have a seatbelt on. I just felt a little bit safer, but it was just kind of your worst merging madness in a big city in Atlanta was happening all the time whenever I drove in India.
Okay.
I think that the travel there, I booked a tour to the Taj Mahal. And it was a couple $100 for the whole day. They picked me up at my hotel door, which I was traveling as a woman by myself. So I didn't want to get out in India and try to figure something out because I wanted to be door to door essentially. So I thought a couple $100 for a whole day. That's great. Lunch included, breakfast included on the train. So there's this direct train that goes from Delhi down to the Taj Mahal. The cab picked me up right at the door, took me to the door of the train. The man who dropped me off took my picture so that he could send it to the guy that was picking me up at the door of the train at the Taj Mahal
for the tour company and everything.
Yeah, so he had my picture, so he knew what seat I was in, what car I was in, and he was waiting at the door of the train when I got off. It was unbelievable. I also found out that they don't put you with another group. I thought I was going to be with a bigger group. No, if I had 4 people in my group, I would have that car to that train, etc. And so I was by myself with a private guide all day, and it was wonderful. We got to see extra sites because, of course, it was just me, and I was asking whatever questions I had. So that was really, really fun. But it challenged my mindset because I guess the disparity of where I live versus what I was seeing. In some ways, that was hard to take. When we were in the taxi cab going from place to place in the Taj Mahal city, I forget the name of it, but there's the door of the car begging, and a lot of them. And the man said, you just can't even start. Like
Because it'll never end.
yeah, I mean, we can't stop in the middle of the street, first of all, because there's the merging madness going on everywhere, and then second of all, I mean, you just can't. So that part was hard to take, and challenging my mindset. And in India, down in the where the sites are, they don't have any manufacturing or business. They stopped that because of all the tourists that go there. They want the air to be cleaner. However, up in Delhi, New Delhi, where the Marriott was, like you couldn't even see the sun. It was kind of like a cloudy day and the sun was back there, but it was not a cloudy day.
It's just all the
It
pollution.
just, yes.
Mm.
And so that was amazing. On a lighter note and a happier note, the other thing that challenged my mindset was my latest expedition to Antarctica. And it was really fun, but you're out in the middle of nowhere. There is nothing there. There is no development in Antarctica. There are huts that they used to use and still use for exploration and scientific studies. Some of them are no longer used. Some of them are, but it's you and nature. And that's a feeling that that's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been just really a crazy experience in Antarctica. Like, I just can't even wrap my head around I mean, it's really the last frontier. Like,
It is. And what I would recommend there, and I know as you arrange travel for people, Antarctica is becoming more and more of a destination that people want to experience. And they do limit how many different ships can go and all of that. But I really recommend a smaller ship. At least that was best for us. We wanted to experience Antarctica. So there were 106 actual passengers. And I think there was almost as many crew.
Yeah.
And the benefit of that is, unbeknownst to me until we got there, was that they only allow 100 people at a time to be on any landmass. So if you have so everybody that wanted to go on any land expedition we did could go. And we went out every day, once or twice a day, because it was an expedition. It wasn't a cruise where we were looking at the pretty scenery, which was overwhelmingly gorgeous. It was actually an active cruise where we went in zodiacs around, or we went to and landed and walked around. We saw the penguins. We saw all kinds of wildlife, birds, seals, whales, you name it. We saw it. It was fantastic.
That's so cool. I have someone going later this fall with the National Geographic one.
Yep.
Yeah, Limbaugh.
That is a great boat. One fun thing that most expeditions have the opportunity to do is actually do a plunge into the Antarctic Ocean. So here's my story, Kat. You have to mentally get prepared for that. You asked about what challenged you, and that challenged me because the water is 32 degrees, but it doesn't freeze because it's salt water.
Mm-hmm.
So when we had this plunge scheduled, because you jump off the back of the boat and then you get back, back in the boat. You're not like swimming out there.
Yeah, you've got to get out.
Yeah, we were in a beautiful cove though. We had parked in this beautiful cove. Honestly, the sun was out. The water was glistening. The icebergs were all around. It was kind of this cove where icebergs, because of the current, they kind of float in there. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And we went out in zodiacs in that cove in the morning, and we got back, had lunch, and they said, okay, we're ready for the plunge. You could wear your bathing suit or your birthday suit.
Okay.
But you could not wear a wetsuit. And thank the Lord, nobody wore their birthday suit. So everybody had something on. But we're all changed in our cabin, my husband and I, and we're waiting for that next announcement to go down to the mudroom to go out the back of the boat. And the announcement was, we have to cancel the plunge because there's a leopard seal who's taken an interest in what we're doing at the back of the boat, because they were putting
dangerous. Yes, they could.
Well, yes, because they have teeth and they're carnivores. And so they said, We have to cancel. We'll try to reschedule. So I thought, okay, that's good with me. I was willing. I'm in my bathing suit. I mean, I was ready to go, right? So if they don't reschedule, I'm kind of okay with that, right? Well, a couple days later, they rescheduled, but we were out in the ocean. It
Oh,
was cloudy. The current was going, the waves were, as a matter of fact, I have a picture posted on LinkedIn of me doing the plunge, and there's ice in the background. Like it was still 32 degrees, but
so you
when
did do it though.
I did do it, but I had to mentally like reset and kind of talked, re-energize myself. It was having that mental conversation. Come on, Pam, you can do this. There are other people that have done this. You can do it. It's only going to be freezing cold. Every neuron in my body was going, no, no, no.
It was your little Pam pep talk. You're like, listen,
A little
girl.
Pam pep talk. And they actually they tethered us to the boat because the current was so strong. They didn't want to lose anybody. So you had to put this
Oh,
thing around
wow. Okay.
before you jumped in. Anyway, I'm very proud that I did it, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
I think I would have for sure done it too. I would have
Yeah,
wanted to be like first though, because you know how there's always people that want to like sit back and
yeah,
chatter about like, oh, I'm nervous, I'm this and like, no, I don't want to listen to you
yeah,
talk about that. Like, I'm just gonna go do
yeah,
it,
yep.
and then you can be nervous all you want because
Exactly.
I can't
Well, the
let that
first
into my
lady,
head.
honestly, they did not tether her to the boat. And so
Oh,
that's when they realized they needed to tether people to the boat. I think they had to go get her.
oh snap! She's like floating away. You're like, hello, hello.
I know. I'm glad she went first.
Oh, so maybe then I wouldn't want to be first, but
Pam and I are having so
Yes.
much fun chatting.
But,
So don't
and then
forget
we
to
were
like and
rewarded
follow
with a
this
shot of
channel
Sambuca
and come
after
back
we got
next
out of the
Friday for
water. So it
part
was
two.
as you should be, right?
two thumbs up.